Hello and welcome to The Lab, a Minecraft podcast where we explore, experiment, and theorize about all things Minecraft. I am MinerThoughts, and with me is my co-host, my brother from down under, The1Troj.
Hello, Miner. Great to be back for another episode here on The Lab. How you doing? How was your week?
It was another week at the mines.
Literally.
Yeah. But it's the weekend. It's time to record. It's time to talk about some Minecraft and talk about what people have been talking to us about in the comments, in the feedbacks.
Well, we delayed the feedback. Normally we would do it end of the month, but we did delay it this time because obviously Minecraft Live, and we dissected that one last week. Yeah, let's cast our mind back to the last few episodes we've done, because there's actually a lot of feedback this time, a lot to come out of it. So let's crack in. The first round came from Pickaxes to Pixels, where you actually spoke about real life mining and it meeting Minecraft and some comparisons and whatnot. I think that was suggested to us by our friend High Hopes, if memory serves correct, right, as a topic. And we had some feedback there on YouTube from our friend Jurassics. I think the reason you don't have a miner's light is because dynamic lighting isn't vanilla, but it does make a lot of sense. Yeah, look, that's true. Dynamic lighting is definitely not a vanilla thing, but, you know, the way Minecraft is heading with their development, you never know what once seemed modded is now becoming vanilla. So you never know. It may be a thing at some stage.
Right. Play Bedrock. I don't fully understand Bedrock, but apparently they're working with something called deferred lighting. And I don't know if that's in their shaders that they're trying to have, like, you know, how we have shaders. I don't know if that's something similar they're trying to work into their vanilla version of Bedrock. But we have mods for that. So
we have mods for that. Yeah, that's an answer that comes through a lot. We have mods for that. That episode actually did really well. Got quite a few views over there on YouTube, but even on the streaming platforms, it did really well, that one. So we might have to revisit that at some stage down the track with some more similarities between real-life mining and Minecraft. Because I don't know if anyone knew this, but you are actually a real-life miner. You kept it so quiet to yourself.
Yeah, it's been a secret for like over 20 years.
Yeah. We've let the cat out of the bag now.
Yeah. I have plenty more to talk about. After that episode aired, I was like, man, I have so many mining stories, funny little anecdotes of mining I could share. If you guys want to hear them, leave your answer in the comments. Tell us whether you want us to revisit this, and maybe I can tell you some mining stories.
Let's pencil that in. I'll put my hand up now. The next one was a special episode. We had Ray's Works visit us on the podcast for some redstone revelations, and I don't think I've seen an episode with as much feedback as what we got from that one. Obviously, we had a feedback from Ray himself saying thanks for inviting me to join the discussion. Always a pleasure. You're always welcome back. And once the redstone changes come back in, I'm sure we'll get you back and have a chat.
No, I just agree.
Okay. I'm not used to that, so that caught me off guard. I'm sorry. The next one was from Thomas. This is more a comment to Ray. Thank you for coming to visit my favorite podcast. I've been a fan for years now. I'm sure our paths will cross when fate or I get to it. Keep doing you. We love it. Thank you, Thomas. Blind Cubsy, great pod guys. So good to see such a fab content creator as Ray. Great job all. Now we had one from the chemist here. It's actually giving a little bit more insight than just thanking Ray for coming. Another great podcast, guys. Loved having you on, Ray. I think the thing about redstone at the moment is that it's a bit like the English language. There's plenty of good rules to it, and then there's all the exceptions, the edge cases, random quirks, etc. Take QC and bud powering, for example. And like Jurassics was saying, that can be daunting and confusing for players wanting to get into technical Minecraft. It's definitely a number of steps in the right direction in terms of improving performance and simplifying how redstone works to make it more accessible. But at the same time, there are some quirks that have become such a staple of a lot of farms and contraptions that to iron it out would actually end up making a number of things more confusing and difficult. And Jurassic's replied to that, very good analogy. Look, I'm not the biggest redstone knowledge base, let's put it that way. So some of the things that Chemist is speaking about there, like Bud and all that, I don't get it. I don't know that sort of stuff. But of the general consensus that I'm hearing is that it's going to be making redstone easier, more simple, and that's the way they seem to be going. And if that is the case, then I think that's going to make the whole technical side far more accessible to the less technical player, and I think that can only be a good thing.
I agree. Listening to Ray talk about it, he said he deals more with the mechanics themselves, and less with like the redstone part of it. Like I was watching him do a new drown farm, and he's trying different things to get them to work. And there's really not a whole lot of redstone involved. So that conversation was very interesting. And myself, I know enough redstone to get myself in trouble. So,
you mean get yourself blowing up, you mean?
Well, yeah, there's that too, but change is good. But at the same time, for some that have been doing it a certain way and, are used to the quirks and the bugs and whatnot that are kind of built in, change is hard. So, I think you're going to have a divided community, but as they introduce these things and take a second look and work with the community, maybe we can get something, like I said, more optimized, more easier to learn, and hopefully pleases everybody or most people.
I don't think we'll ever please anybody, as we saw with the last week's discussion with Minecraft Live. But, let's hope it's a step in the right direction. One thing that a couple of people commented on that took them by surprise, Sir Bersalak and Cobblecay Gaming, some more Interrealms members there. SB says, I got to look at redstone torches now. I never knew they changed them. And then Cobble goes, great podcast. Really interesting to hear about the possible changes to redstone and how you feel about them. And then I immediately went to look at the new redstone torch, and I agree, too bulky, and I missed the yellow. So some people there not liking the new redstone torch.
There are people that don't do much with redstone, but like to use the redstone torch as part of a build, just for ambience or whatnot. So, it's going to be something to get used to.
That is true. So we'll have to see. But as I think Ray said, that one isn't experimental. That one's rolling out the new texture.
Right. And like you said, we talked about in the last episode, talked about Minecraft Live, and those things are coming out within a few months. As Ray said, in 1.21.2, we'll probably see the changes in the redstone colors, not the redstone changes. Those are still experimental. So don't get worried, people. It's just texture changes and whatnot probably roll out in the next update.
Very fair. The next episode that we had was, we talked about the future of Minecraft Future. And that was all about how they're going to change things, to change the way they're doing Minecraft Live, the way they're doing drops as opposed to updates now, and all those sort of things. And actually some feedback from ourselves to ourselves was, Miner, we forgot to talk about the mob vote.
Okay. I had asked the community as they listened to it if they could figure out what we forgot, and I'm saying it right now, listeners. I'm an old man and I forget things. Okay, so
Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn.
I have an excuse. We forgot to talk about the mob vote.
I even had it on the notes that I have in front of me before every episode. You know, it's like, here's some dot points, and I had mob vote gone. That's literally the note, and we didn't even talk about it. Usually, usually for the podcast, we sort of just roll and just, I don't know, just organically, we sort of roll through all the points we want to talk about anyway. For whatever reason, we just missed the mob vote, but it's gone, Miner. It's gone.
Right, and that's. Again, the community is divided on that one. Some are like saying, thank heavens, it's gone. Now we don't have to hear about everybody complaining that their mob didn't make it in. And then there are people like, oh man, I miss having a new mob every update. So I don't know. That doesn't mean though that they're not going to add new mobs. They're still going to add new mobs. And, you know, hopefully they'll go back and revisit those ones that didn't get added in.
I think it's a shame in a way that, I want to be careful how I say this. I think there's 2 points here. I think it's a shame that we've lost a little bit of input as a community into the development of the game. So that I think was the positive of the mob vote, is we as a community got a say in at least the mob. Now, did the community always get it right? No. I'm looking at you, Phantom. But, you know, it was at least an avenue for us to be able to sit back and go, you know what, I got to vote. You know, my mob didn't get in, but I had a say in that. The other side is, you know, you look at, shall we call it the toxic element, for lack of a better term, in the community, and the changes that it's led to because of their toxic behavior. You know, we've got rid of the mob. It's got rid of the mob vote. It's got rid of, you know, it's changing the way that they're doing the updates into different ways, which has their own implications particularly for server admins and things like that. So it's all well and good taking the feedback from the community and how they change it. But when it's a reactionary change based on the toxic element of the community that are just out there just to pick and moan and whine, that's not fair. To those that probably the majority are okay with. It's probably more the vocal minority on, shall we say, on Twitter, X, for the most part, stirring up drama for the sake of clicks that then gets the community all into a tizzy and goes from there. I think the general player base, which is not the social media centric people, probably don't mind. They probably see the thing pop up and go, oh, you get to vote for a mob. They click there and it's away they go. Unfortunately, the vocal minority has got their way and the mob vote is gone. Personally, I'm on the side of, well, I'm sad to see that go. And
it's not just there on Twitter. You have Reddit as well. And I've heard, I don't spend a lot of time on Reddit. There's like certain communities that I subscribe to, but even those can be toxic. But yeah, it's just those few, you know, vocal minority, they get other people worked up. And, you know, it's just sad to see that, for a company that's worked 15 years, to give us updates for free every year. And now, you know, they're giving us drops, a couple times a year. It's just, and it's free.
It's free. That's the big one. It's free.
But people still, you know, I don't know how you can complain about free.
Society complains about everything, Miner, so it is what it is. The next comment that we had there, well, the first comment we had was from Devara. We love Devara. Devara leaves very long messages. So I'm not going to read this one out because it is long. After she put this message on this video, she messaged me on Discord and said, I left a message again. So I knew I was going to have some light reading to do before bed that night. But we do love our Devara comments. But I'll just take a portion of this. If you want to read the whole thing, head over to YouTube and have a read for yourselves there and leave some comments on it if you wish. But we were talking about the stasis chambers with the ender pearls, because now ender pearls are chunk loaders. And Devara said, one thing about using those stasis chambers as a fast travel to get back to base on servers wouldn't you need someone to be at your base to activate it so that you can get teleported back there? I mean, it's not like we have command blocks like people do in solo worlds, so that if you die, you get the pearl triggered instead of something like that. That is 100% correct. You do need someone to press the button to bring you back. I have 2 kids that play with me on the server. That's not a problem for me.
Now, I have been researching these stasis chambers, and even before that, in World 3 of Interrealms, I had planned on doing a stasis chamber of some sort in the Adventurers Guild. There are ways to teleport yourself to different areas using cats, and I'll just let you guys Google that. But yeah, it's kind of a little fun mechanic using cats.
I will Google that because I haven't seen it and no idea what you're talking about. Do you wish to share or?
Well, okay. When a I'd have to Google it to explain it myself. But what happens is the cat, whether it's sitting or it's standing, will trigger, if it's on a pressure plate, it will trigger it and it can bring you back. And my idea was like, it happens when you log off. And my idea in World 3 was I could be anywhere on the server, and log out. And as soon as I log back in, the cat would stand up and trigger the stasis chamber, and I'd be instantly back at base. Now, you can actually set up a network for these things. You just got to make sure you throw your pearl
what
in
makes
your
the cat
stasis
stand up?
chamber, logging off.
Really? Too creative for testing.
Yeah, you'll have to Google it. It's you can actually set up a network and transport yourself to different parts of the overworld. You just got to make sure you throw the pearl in, and all you have to do is log off and log back in, and you're back to the last place you left the pearl.
There you go. You've just taught me something. Good job.
So yeah, there's I'm sure that we're still going to have to discuss this in our player meeting, because it's one of those things that server admins will have to either limit or say, no, we can't have a bunch of chunks loaded.
Yes, we will have to have a talk about it, because you look at industrial areas, for example, on Interrealms, like what Jurassic's has got, or Chemist has got, or even myself, a smaller one, but still one. If we had those chunk loaded, the place, and just running constantly, the place would be unplayable. So, definitely something to have a think about. It's definitely changed it. You know, we as a server have got a no chunk loader policy, so we'll have to see what happens with this change. But as with Redstone, things change, we adapt. So we'll have to see. The next comment that came through there was from Jurassic's. I think if they ever did an end update, it would be all in one go. Doesn't make sense to do lots of bits. Would mean resetting that dimension or starting a new world. I agree with that. I don't think if they do an end update, they will do it in bits. I think it will be in one fell swoop. Because, and Jurassic's is perfectly right. You think if they did it in bits, you know, you would have to update your end constantly. You would have to trim it constantly for every update until you got the full thing through. The way it would generate would change. You know, I think pretty much like the Nether. I think most people, when 1.16 came, they either started a new world or they trimmed the Nether completely and, you know, reset it. Which I think is what we did for Interrealms, was it not? Way back then, we just wiped the end we wiped the Nether and started again? I can't remember. Or did we start in 1.16?
You know what? I can't remember. I know it was season 1.
Yeah.
But I can't remember. that was so long ago.
I know, right? 4 years. That's crazy how long that's gone.
I tend to agree with Jurassic's.
That's all the feedback on that episode. But then the next one actually kicked off a major discussion on Discord, and that's what we love. And oddly, it's not a new episode. It was a classic episode going all the way back to episode 1, our very first recording session for The Lab, a Minecraft podcast, when we were actually a 1-month segment on the Interrealms podcast. After the first year, our segment was kind of a success, so we branched off and made this our own independent thing. Still under the Interrealms network, of course, but its own podcast. And it was about what makes a Minecraft build truly epic. Our friend Devara made a comment, and again, if size equals epic, then her comment is epic. But I really liked her last sentence, and I'm going to read that. To me, the most epic thing about building in Minecraft, be it farms or otherwise, is seeing all the different ways that people can and do build, as well as finding out about their thoughts on why things are the way that they are in a build, what the story is behind it. And to me, those things are also epic. And I think that's absolutely perfect. Minecraft is a game that can be played in multiple ways. It is a true sandbox. And epic is subjective. It's epic. What is epic to one person may not be epic to another, but to another person, they may agree it may be epic. So many different ways to play this epic game.
Right. And I may have said this before, but oh my gosh, Interrealms, talk about epic. We have an event coming up, the Halloween build contest, and the builds haven't even started yet, but the entry, epic. You'll have to watch the video on the Interrealms YouTube channel. Wow, just wow. And I can't wait to see all the builds.
That is a true indication of the creativity of the Interrealms players. Now, we had myself, Blind Cubsy, Cobble K, Turtle, and Pixie, I think, were the main drivers of that. And you know what? Originally, the idea was literally a bridge from spawn across the river to the bank of this swamp. We were going to have a pathway from there that led to a big set of gates that would have the plots. And then over to the side would be a small witch's hut, which would house the portal to the area. That was it. That was going to be the entryway. And the more we got to this little build team, the more we got to hang out and the more we got different things. Someone suggested this. Cobble then come up with this small witch's hut, which was the size of, a small house. And it was like, oh my goodness. And then it just evolved from there. It was like, oh, well, we're going to have guest builders on for the event through the entire month of October. So we need somewhere to put materials. So we need a build for that. I know. I went and made a haunted mansion. And then Cubsy started doing terraforming. And then the gates got built. And then the walls of the gate of this area got built. And it just started taking on a life of its own. Pixie comes along and says, oh, Troj, I've got this build that I've made for Halloween. Where can I put it? And it's just incredible. And it's like, I don't know where you can put it, but let's find somewhere. And it just started taking on a life of its own. And then, the lore of the area started to emerge. Like Cobble jokingly said, oh, Pixie's build's so big, it's like it's blotted out the sun. It stuck a chord in my writer's brain. It's like, So I went to Pixie. Pixie, have you got any lore for your castle and your dragon? No. Okay. And then the lore actually became, from Cobble's joke that the build was so big that it blotted out the sun, the lore became, the Dragon Lord arrived, blotted out the sun, and the land got corrupted. And it was just amazing to see the process that we went from this tiny little concept, just me and Cubsy working on it to try and get something quickly together to get the event ready, to this collaborative effort that just took on a life of its own. New builds come up, detailing came through. We were having a ball. We were joking around. We were playing around, and then the lore developed from it. It was such an experience that I really hope that we can do more of that as a playing group in the future, not necessarily just for events, but, group projects where we can go and say, oh, here's an area. Let's go and build something. And we just do it as a team, as a group, as an entire server, because that was so much fun. I'm totally over Halloween, but just that process of doing that project over the 2 weeks was just so much fun.
Yeah, it's amazing how far Interrealms has come from the season 1 Halloween Town to the season or world 4. It just wow, and you got to check it out. Check out the Interrealms YouTube channel.
And by the time this episode releases, the competition, the event was probably well underway, or at least a week underway anyway. And the build should start be going up. So make sure you check out on Twitch for the Interrealms. Keep an eye on our YouTube channel, the Interrealms on YouTube, because we'll be doing updates and things on there as well. We've got, at the moment, 8 special guests, playing on the server for a month, which is something we've never done before. We've had guests on, but usually for like a 1 day thing. We're letting these 8 people onto the server for a month to play with us and build and participate. It should be a whole lot of fun. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that. And I've seen some of the builds that people are planning for this competition, and to say this will be our best Halloween area is an understatement.
No, I believe it. I totally believe it. And wow, it gives you a good feeling to be a part of this community.
Look, I've been a part of a few communities now, and there's something unique about this one. And I've had a few people say there's something unique here. And, we're going to do an episode in the future. It's been on the to-do list for a little while, but it's like crafting a community. And when we do that, there's so much history and story behind Interrealms, how we've got to where we are and where we're going to go. But also there is something unique here that I have not found on any servers. Some people think they've got it, but they don't. Other people try to have it and they're getting there. It's just what we've got, I think, is very unique. And I just, having been there from day one, pre-day one, it gives you like warm, fuzzy feelings to see how far it's become and what, definitely. It's not even slowing down, which is absolutely just, I'm very proud of the brand and everyone that's part of it. So.
Oh yeah, I'm so proud of everyone. I feel honored and to be here.
Well, we're just one big giant family, and I just don't know what else to say. But we did have one more bit of feedback from this episode, from our friend High Hopes, and we're probably not going to have a lot of time to dissect the conversation that came out of his comment. But let's read his comment and then we'll touch on it briefly, because we're going to spin this off actually into its own standalone episode in the not too distant future. So let's just read his comment and then we'll sort of give a brief overview of the conversation that ensued on the Discord. So High Hope said, regarding the latest episode of The Lab, or should I say the original episode, as stated, I'd say epic is subjective. To me, it means something has impressed the person making the claim. It could be epic for size, detail, efficiency, etc. I think The Lab and Interrealms are epic for their own reasons. The Lab for its diversity of content and carving its own niche. Interrealms because of the quality of people here. You all make epic builds, are an epic team, family, etc. One point of view on epic I think is often missed is when people take crazy complex and OP farms and make them work for a smaller need. Some epic farms are ridiculous to build in survival, and running them once will saturate a small SMP single player. So taking an epic farm and making it work for smaller scale is its own form of epic. Also, the point of view of the person is something to take into consideration. The builds I thought were epic when I first got into Minecraft might not fit that description to me now because I've been exposed to more. And it was that last bit, that last sentence, that triggered a very interesting conversation. So I replied, it's funny when I go back to Season 1 world of Interrealms. In my mind, the shopping district is big. Certain builds are big. And then you see them again, and in reality, compared to what we're doing now, it's also tiny and beginner. Which isn't a bad thing, as it clearly shows our progression as Minecrafters. And that is a really true statement. I remember going back, what was I doing? I wanted to, in World 3, I started to work on a project, a rather large, I say mini game, but it was a rather large game based on Vault Hunters. Had to pull it because we were running out of time. But I remember going back into the World 1 world to grab a schematic of something that I had built in that world to bring it into this build as like a memorial, like a look back as a thing. And I remember getting back into there and it was like, well, I can't use this. This is too small from what I'm thinking. And another time there, when I was building my Aztec pyramid on the server on World 3, I remember going, Blind Cubsy built a big pyramid in Season 1. I'm going to go and have a look at it for scale to see, what his scaling was, and that would help me. And when I went back to look at his base, I remember thinking, that's actually really small. So it's just interesting to see our progression as Minecrafters there.
And not only that, just techniques, not just the size of the base or things like that, just different techniques, little artist touches, things we've learned from each other and other content creators. We've just grown as creators and builders and everything over these 4 years or 4 seasons or 4 worlds.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think that we're coming into now with this world. You've got a real big mix of players from all different backgrounds and all different experiences of Minecraft. There's over 43, I think, whitelisted players at the moment. And that could very easily be 50 very, very soon, which is just mind-blowing with, people that have applied, and we just need to wait for them to get to level 10 on Discord, as is our process. But, a few comments that have come up recently is saying, do we belong here, when they see like the Halloween builds that's been going on, or, there's no way we can compete with those sort of builds or whatever. But you know what? Go look back at our World 1 when we started. I couldn't compete with what I'm doing now. Like, I look at Dragon's Rest, which was my big build from season 1, and up until this moment, probably still my biggest project that I've done in Minecraft. But that build, when I break it down now, is really just a collection of smaller builds on mountains that got terraformed. That looks effective, but I actually don't like it that much now. I'd actually like to go back and change it with what I know now in terms of building. It's chalk and cheese. I couldn't compete. Me from 4 years ago couldn't compete with me from today. But it's not about that. It's about my progression. It's about being part of the community, taking part, just giving it a go. We're not all great builders, but we're not all great redstoners. We're not all great cavers. We're not all great explorers. Everyone's got their own niche within Minecraft. And it's where you fit into that as a larger community that actually makes it what it is. We would not be a community without the likes of our Sims and our Nakus and our SBs that say we're not great builders, but actually when they give it a go, they're actually really good. What SB is doing at the moment with his castle base is absolutely amazing. Naku's transforming a city, an ancient city. Sim is just Sim. She just keeps simming along. It's really heartwarming to see people giving it a go, even though they're going, I'm not too sure about building. Terry, the timid Terry, for example, a month ago said to me, I'm not a builder. I don't know what to do. And then between her and SB, the nether tunnel that they put together for their area is absolutely stunning. I would say probably the best nether tunnel on the server at the moment. It looks absolutely breathtaking, and I can guarantee you there is not one person, past or present player, that could have done a better job on that nether tunnel than what they have done. It is fantastic.
Just feeling like you belong. That's a discussion that I think, like you said, we're going to branch out and talk about in more detail, because I've had the same thoughts. I think everybody does at one point that, they get a bit of imposter syndrome and wondering, do I belong here? But we'll save that for
Yeah, and that came up in the conversation, which is what we're going to branch off into to its own standalone episode, because the conversation transformed then into talking about how we sounded in episode 1 compared to how we sound now, and I would like to think we sound better because we've been doing this now for 3 years or so. This is our 3rd season, I think. So we've been doing it for longer. Our editing's got better. Our equipment's got better. So it should sound better. But, Devara said there, you all sounded a bit less of yourselves in the original than you usually do. And my response to that was, well, I can remember leading into the very first recording, I was nervous as anything. I can only speak for myself, but looking back, I think I had a bit of imposter syndrome. And I was like, well, I've only been playing Minecraft for 2 years. Do I have a right to be making a Minecraft podcast? And imposter syndrome. And then that kicked off a discussion about it. And it was quite a good discussion. And I think yeah, we'll branch that one into its own standalone episode in coming weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Because there is more to discuss about that. People, even when they grow and gaining more audience and whatnot, those thoughts still come back. So yeah, we'll discuss that.
But that basically, Miner, brings an end to our feedback for last month. Now, we didn't include feedback from the Minecraft Live episode because, we'll probably spin that off give it a decent amount of time. We had so much from the previous few episodes. As you can see, this one's been quite a long episode. So we'll put that one into the next one and give it some decent timing on that front. But Miner, if people do want to leave some more feedback, what's the best way?
Let's see if I can run through this and hit it on the nail. Okay. You can reach us on the Discord. Let's start there on the Discord, live and in person. Not like in person, but you know what I mean. If you want to talk to us right away, join the Discord, talk to us. And someone's always there. I'm there fairly often. So you could talk to us that way. If you prefer to be a little more private, send us an email. Send us an email over on what's the email?
I don't know. This is usually your job.
I thought I was getting it through this. Okay.
You can do this, but this is usually your job. I don't know them.
You can find us on the email. You can send us an email at minecraftlabpodcast@gmail.com if you want to just do it privately. Or we're over on Twitter if you want to engage with us over there. We're at mclab_podcast. And you can always find all the links for where you can find us live on Twitch, YouTube, whatever. They're on the interrealmssmp.com website. Up there I believe it's the top right. You'll find a connect button and connect with any one of us right there.
Well, Miner, let's hope for some really great more feedback to talk about in next month's episode. But until that point, or until we come back to record for next week, I'm heading back to the Interrealm server because for my Halloween build, I'm actually building with glass, 90% glass, and I've never done it before, so I've got a lot of challenge ahead of me.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed.
Yeah, and Ree is going to teach me armor stands. She wants to do armor stands, of course.
Of course. And the good thing is we've got the armor poser mod now, so it makes it a lot easier.
Oh, definitely. I toyed around with it, and it should make things a lot easier.
Indeed it does. But with that, I'm off to go play with glass and hope I don't make a fool of myself.
Well, you, as Ree would say, you have fun with that.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Goodbye, all.
Bye.